What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Movie Schmovie. My name is Steve. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and as always, I'm joined by
Ron.
And John, mama baby.
Oh, my baby. Good to see you guys again. We have a little break from the main show here. We've had a couple weeks of shakeups. We did a guest spot or a feature spot. I don't know what you want to call that. We did a collab. I don't know.
I think
The
we
MCU's
appeared.
bleeding.
Yeah, we guessed it on someone else's
guessed
show.
it.
Yeah.
On the
And
MCU.
then we posted the video on our channel. A pretty good show out. People over 120 views. I mean, people watch it on our channel. I appreciate you enduring 2 hours. I mean, it was a long show, man.
Was
Like,
it 2 hours?
bullshit. It was 2 hours 30, maybe.
Plus, yeah.
Yeah. But
I was like, do I do this or do I watch Killers of the Flower Moon event?
Yeah.
Finally,
yeah.
couldn't decide.
Oh,
I thought there was a Zack Snyder cut of something that I wanted to watch
That's what it was.
during that time.
yeah.
No, but that almost was like an episode. You got to hear our thoughts on the first couple of episodes of Alien Earth, and then the next week we planned to do an episode and couldn't for life stuff reasons. And then the following week we had life stuff reasons crop up again. So we kind of took a month, almost a month. I think this is like a 4-week gap. So this is like a month break that we didn't plan on. And I want to thank all of our fans for nobody checking in on us to see if we were okay.
Somebody
Appreciate
checked
you all.
in
Oh, somebody checked in.
several times. Two people checked in several times.
So
Shout out to Tehran. Shout out to Pierre. Pierre's like, are you guys going to record this week?
They were like, after that Alien Earth thing, were you guys so talked out that you quit the game?
Yeah, we just, my sister also listened to the entire episode and her feedback was, John, your voice is very soothing. She had noticed that. And she could tell that we were trying to make our talking points very exciting.
Mm.
You can tell.
I think we each had our own way, yes, of wrestling with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what she means about my voice being soothing, though, baby. That must be something the microphone does. By the way, if anyone's watching the video and you wonder what happened to me, I should just tell you that
John spoke too soon. He talked out of line.
Yeah, I
We
finally
had to put him in his place.
My wife finally clocked me. No,
My wife.
my wife. But no, it's not an exciting story. I injured myself in a swimming pool, all by myself. I wasn't even roughhousing with anybody. I just came up a little too excitedly at the edge of the pool. I looked good though.
You met
out of the water with the dripping.
You met
down.
a wall that didn't move.
I kind of took a turn that was like, up, pull up, no, but I just scraped. But it was a thing where I didn't think it felt that bad, but everybody I saw after that was like saying, what happened to you,
You're like, it looks bad. It looks bad,
Yeah,
John.
it looks worse. It looks worse than it is.
Pools, they low-key can mess you up, man.
They can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That rough bottom, the edges, be careful in a swimming pool,
Yeah.
man.
That's what
By the
happened.
looks of it, I thought you got hurt because you got caught stealing.
Ooh. Zing.
Holy shit.
People don't even know what just happened.
Not me, baby. Not me. I wouldn't get caught stealing. I wouldn't start stealing without a plan, baby. So you saw. Give us a quick review of Caught Stealing. You saw it.
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky. This on the surface looks like a Guy Ritchie movie with Darren Aronofsky sort of feel to it. So you know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
That means that it was an action-packed movie, but the deaths were really, really crazy. Like, and you felt them. Like in a Guy Ritchie movie, somebody could be like, this is Bradley. Bradley talks too much, and they don't show Bradley. Darren, they show his neck being shot, and he's talking and gargling, and just like, tell my kids that I love them so much that I fucking I'm gonna miss the retreat. And then that's how every death is. It's like there's this weight to all the deaths that I wasn't expecting. And Austin Butler is incredible. Zoe Kravitz is incredible. The chemistry between them is really cool. And the goons that come up, man, they all feel like Guy Ritchie characters. Matt Smith's character, Russ, is really fun to watch. Liev Schreiber. I would
Liev.
feel like I don't.
Liev.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio, the Jewish gentlemen that are whooping ass. Bad Bunny. I mean, this thing has Action Bronson. This thing has a lot of really fun characters in it.
Oh,
You
cool.
know, so I'll say this: Highest to Lowest used New York as a character, and I didn't like that character. I want to kick that character in the balls.
Hmm.
This version of the city feels a little more like I don't know. I liked it. It feels like I don't know. It felt like a love letter to New York. They didn't feel like it was like two ribs missing trying to suck its own dick. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I'm not trying to be like. I don't know. I don't like the way that Spike Lee does that stuff all the time. I mean, Highest to Lowest, I have some issues with, but I liked it. But this felt a little more subtle about New York being a character and how lived in it felt and the characters.
At any point, does New York say, "Hey, it's me, New York"?
Yeah, and then Regina King does this really interesting accent that I can't tell where. It doesn't feel like it's New York. It feels like a Boston person came to New York and is a cop there. She said she's been there all her life, but this accent clearly isn't New York. But she's really good in it. Everybody in it is spectacular. But yeah, New York definitely said, "Hey, stop stepping on me, Austin." And he said, "Hey, baby, hey, baby, I gotta step on you to get to where I'm going." So it's a lot of that.
Baby.
Well, shit. It really is very obvious when you hear him speaking for a long period of time that he's not going to lose that voice anytime soon. But overall,
it's like when Madonna went to England for the summer and she came back forever changed.
Yeah, forever changed. But it was a really good movie, man. It was fun. It was a little too long. It was like an hour 47. It could have been an hour 20, hour 30. The extra 17 minutes was like a chase that shouldn't have maybe happened the way that it happened, but it was fun. But I found myself looking at my watch around the like hour 20. It didn't feel like it was resolved. And that was because there was a whole 20 something minutes that needed to follow. But overall,
so you keep talking about how fun it was. I mean, what's funny is that the trailer looked fun to me, and then the reviews I've seen have used words like grim and plotting.
It is grim. Okay, so that's
but it looks
the weird
fun.
part.
I mean, it looks like a wild movie.
So that's the daring part that you're dealing with. Like it is grim. Like I said, like people don't casually die in this movie. Like it has weight. Like every character that they introduce is there, and they don't introduce very many new characters at that point, and the group starts to dwindle, whether they're goons or the good guys or and it really you feel the weight of it, man. There was a scene that actually made me tear up. Like it was like I don't know if I should have felt that in the type of movie that this is trying to be, but this is a movie that I'm probably going to watch a ton more times. Like
oh really?
Like yeah, I could feel that I like a lot of the chases. I liked a lot of the interactions with the characters. But yeah, the deaths had weight, and I think that's what they're referring to. It felt grim. You don't feel that same sort of lightness that you would feel in a like I said, a Guy Ritchie movie. If it almost feels like a train spotting sort of feel. Like the way that felt light at first, and then it started to get a little more grim with everything going on around it. It felt weighted. And I think that's kind of because he maybe feels like if you're a person in this amount of chaos and people are dying around you, you feel it. You feel a lot of Austin Butler's pain and a lot of the goons' pain and a lot of the. I was not expecting to feel that, to be completely honest with you.
Hey, that hurts, baby.
Hey, it hurts, baby. It's a crime movie with some heart, and I think that's what really makes it kind of weighted the way that it is.
The guys you just mentioned in tandem with each other, we're talking about an Aronofsky movie, but you likened it to Guy Ritchie, and then you put a Danny Boyle thing in there. These are all stylists, you know what I mean? Yeah. All people with really strong style. And I mean, I could see how a Darren Aronofsky or a Guy Ritchie-ish idea filtered through Darren Aronofsky's storytelling, I could see how that would come out feeling a little bit like a Danny Boyle, you know?
Yeah.
Because like Danny Boyle has that extra thing of maybe having something on his mind or an experiment that he wants to play with. And I think Aronofsky, like, it doesn't surprise me that he would say, okay, my price for paying this, for making this kind of action, violent comedy, thriller, whatever, crime, drama, whatever, is going to be that I'm not gonna let you off the hook when it comes to the bad stuff that's happening. I could totally see that being something he would do. That whole thing of like, some people like to show you how hard it is to kill somebody or how much it sucks to die, you know? Yeah. And I mean, I think that's valid when you say, all right, if you're going to have the fun of the action part, then let's make you realize what you're cheering for is like somebody's gruesome death. So I don't know. I'm interested still, but I did notice that the reviews were not very kind as it was kind of rolling out. But from the trailer, it looked really watchable to me. So
it's for sure watchable. But I said, like you were saying, grim to say the very least.
Okay.
And if you're prepared for that, it still has some fun in all of it, believe it or not. But it's grim.
All right, well, that's cool. Did anybody else see anything that's hot off the presses like that? Otherwise, we can get into our cold meal that we have of a topic. This was the episode we were going to do last week. And it was already getting kind of cold. Some of these topics are a little cold. But rather than doing like what we normally do, which is like a big catch-up where we emerge exhausted, we're going to try to just make the episode we would have made had we not had an unexpected gap. So does anybody remember that long ago I said we should watch Vacancy for required viewing?
I remembered when I reminded Ronald earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot what the hell we were watching. But then I remembered I watched it.
Yeah.
I was ready to go like when we were going to record this 2 weeks ago. So So like I watched Vacancy. I watched Vacancy 2, the first cut, because I was very curious about what that was. And then just to remind me of the other movie we talked about, I watched Identity to kind of see like which motel-based movie between Vacancy and Identity, which one had aged the best for me. And then I started thinking about not hotel. I should say these are motel movies. There's a big difference between a motel and a hotel movie.
Yes.
And then I started to think about motel movies, and I realized it is kind of a rich tradition. There's a few really good motel movies, and I thought maybe we might talk about that briefly once we talk about this film. But I mean, I will say this: it's interesting now. If we watch a movie right before we record for required viewing, it's like you've just refreshed your idea of this movie and we're going to talk about it, right? But this is a case where I had not watched this movie for a long time, and then I watched it again a few weeks ago, and now I'm going to sit down and talk about it. So it's more about like what's stuck in my mind and what do I remember now about enjoying it. I did come out feeling like it was the movie I thought it was. I remembered enjoying it, and I did enjoy it again. It's brisk. It's no nonsense.
Totally, yeah.
It's really well shot, I think. Like the atmosphere and the feel of it. It's one of those movies, and I'm sure we could think of this as like a subgenre of horror too, where it's like it's a really like a bone simple idea that's just well done, and they got good actors to do it. You know, it's like somehow it feels like a very now thing for like name actors to do a horror and not feel like they're slumming exactly. You know, I don't know. I'd have to look at what was happening in horror around the time this movie came out, which was it 2007? 2007. So before The Strangers, which had a similar structure of a couple that is having a hard night and enters into this crazy world, and we see how their relationship is kind of like further put to the test through the situation that they're in.
Right.
And this is an early, they're dealing with their trauma and it's a horror movie thing. But I feel like this doesn't feel like, oh, we get to the end and the reveal is that they were dealing with their trauma. This one is just, the backdrop is that they lost a child. And so Kate Beckinsale and Luke Wilson are just kind of barely holding it together. And you get a sense that he would be more willing to carry on, and that she's maybe more done with him. But there's just this sense of they're kind of snarky with each other, and the situation they get in is one of those where you can kind of like, he feels like he's like being blamed, and she feels like he's kind of being, you know, bristling with her, and so it is like one of those. I don't know. I think that is I think The Strangers did it much more painfully, but that premise of you're having a hard time with your significant other, and then suddenly something that would test you on your best day occurs. But yeah, pretty much it starts happening really quickly, and I think it's one of those movies where if you if you stop and think about it too much, you'll come up with all these questions about the setup of the killers, which is that they're filming, but it seems as though they're killing everybody that stops at the motel.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you could do that. It seems like the disappearances and the disposing of the bodies in the cars, but I don't think the movie gives you too much time to think about that. I think it's almost more like a paranoid thriller sense of like, as the story spirals out and you see they're putting together the operation, like when the trucker stops and they realize he's not someone who can help. He's actually a guy who's picking up tapes of murders, and that they might be on a tape if they're not careful. I feel like all that feels like almost like nightmarish conspiracy, almost like the way a movie like Rosemary's Baby or something like that can make the characters feel like, oh no, we're in the middle of a situation where everybody we turn to is part of this. I feel like Texas Chainsaw had a little bit of that as well, where you think you've escaped from the house and you just have run into the arms of somebody else who's part of the operation. So I remembered liking the same things about it. I think I told you this, Ronald, that what I remembered liking was that pretty immediately they start acting like people who are in a fucked up situation, and that like they're trying to get out of it. And maybe they don't do everything super smart, but they're not sitting there, lying to themselves about this being, maybe we can just talk to the guy or whatever. And I do think, it's like 86 minutes or 90 minutes or something. It's so short that I don't think it gives you time to stop and think about the mechanics of the thing either. 85 minutes with credits, right? So that's like, that's insane. That's so brisk.
Yeah, like 70 some.
And I will say this, I think Frank Whaley is great. I think that he manages to bring such a quality of sleazy, like I was saying to Nikki, we were watching this, and I was like, I love it when they make the choice of a villain who, when the chips are down, he's like a Weasley little misogynist prick. Like there's nothing cool about this guy when it's time to really throw down. He's like, he's just the worst, and I feel like you can see Frank Whaley is having a great time playing a guy who's just oozing whatever the opposite of charm is. So Ronald, you hadn't seen this before, or you had seen it but had not remembered it, or what?
I don't think I'd seen this before. I confused it for the other one.
Yeah.
Which I call "It's All in My Head" Hotel. Which,
hey, I got in trouble for spoiling that last time.
Yeah, you did. But since the cat's out of the bag, I realized it wasn't the same movie at all. And this one was one that I wanted to see that I never saw, and I enjoyed it so much, man. Like it's one thing I really do like about this movie is you think somebody's sleazy, and then it gets sleazier.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like layers and layers of shittiness that keep coming out. And then you find out that this is a little more complicated than originally thought. Like, you think it's just sleazy people recording, but you're like, how did they get from this point to this point? And I love that, not Owen. Is it
Luke? No, it's Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke notices things that, that I probably would have noticed too. That kind of lead to bigger things kind of unraveling. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And it just feels mean spirited. I like movies that don't feel like they have a safety net on. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's our kill kids, kill old people rule.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a safety net. If the killer's walking full speed and there's a kid there and they ignore the kid, that's like unless the killer has rules like in that way, which could be a thing. But this didn't feel like this had a safety net.
You mean like Anton Chigurh in No Country for Old Men, another motel movie?
Right. There you go.
Another motel movie, yeah.
Or at least it's got a sequence, a very memorable motel sequence, I would say.
Yeah, well, what a good one. But yeah, just knowing that this doesn't feel like safe, and the person that was, you think something, you're like, oh, okay, there's police here, and then it's like, oh no,
yeah.
It's like I love that. It just felt uncontrollable. Like it felt like, oh no, no one's gonna get out of this situation.
Ronald, well, wouldn't you hate to be
Yeah.
like just thinking you were being helpful and then realizing you, oh shit, I'm the guy who thinks he's being helpful in a horror movie and is about to
Yeah.
get killed in front of the other people? Because it's always like in a moment, like right, yeah, like
No, no, no. Like, yeah, I'm just getting some gas.
yeah.
I know I'd fart for sure. Like, there's no way I wouldn't fart. This.
I think we're just being spared a lot of that in a lot of death scenes in movies.
Oh
'Cause my
yeah,
understanding is when you die, one of the things that happens is your bowels completely release. So I
yeah,
think we're just being spared that. Most movies are like choosing to give a little dignity to the world
yeah.
that the
If you've
world may
ever
not
seen
have.
anybody get knocked out or have a seizure, you know that somebody they pee and shit themselves. Like it's a given thing. If you've seen somebody get knocked out before more than once, you've probably seen them piss themselves. And if you've seen somebody have a seizure, you've probably seen them piss or shit themselves. It just goes hand in hand. So there's
I
no
haven't,
doubt
Ronald, but this weekend I'm going to.
you're gonna make it happen.
I'm going to make it happen.
But then
What
this is like
hell or high water? I'm going to see
hell out
someone
of water. But
shit
how crazy
themselves.
would it be if like a scary movie accounted for that? That would make it even meaner feeling.
Yeah,
You know, it's
that feels
like,
like a Terrifier move.
oh
Like go
yeah,
ahead,
it feels like
have
a
that be part of
Terrifier
it.
movie.
But you'd have to like shit and then slip on your own shit or something. I don't know. It would have to be like super mean. But no, you're right. These guys. I didn't mention Ethan Embry either, but like he's great in this as well.
Oh,
Like,
the
as
mechanic.
he,
Yeah.
he gets to do the. He gets to be the guy who you know if you know these movies, you know he's not what he seems to be, but like he's part of the ruse. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Ronald. I mean, I really feel like it's such an efficient movie. It kind of reminded me
Oh
of
yeah.
a Red Eye, only in the sense of like it's a reasonably short, kind of brisk
Yeah.
genre movie
Yeah.
that like it may escalate, but it like keeps you in the realm of the momentum of the story, so that you don't really have a chance to stop and say, okay, wait a minute, how are they avoiding, like, are people just not disappear, like no one's checking on these people who are all disappearing in this one area,
Right.
but also this is before maybe the era that we just accepted that everything was trackable and that people would know exactly where you disappeared or whatever. So maybe this is, maybe it gets plausible deniability from that. Well, Steve,
Yeah.
you I know you were much more familiar with this movie, right? But what was it like watching it again?
Yeah, no, it's just like a good reminder of that. Yeah, I remember enjoying this movie quite a bit when this came out. And yeah, just feeling like everything you kind of hit on already. But I think another thing I would add would be, the relationship of the couple kind of being rocky and or problems clearly in their relationship coming into this moment. I think it helps those characters. It helps the movie that they kind of like them working together to get through this. It's almost like kind of what brings them back together.
Right.
Like the fact that they can try to get through this together, that this literal, physical, tangible thing that they can survive. Then they can probably get through the other thing that they experienced, that they kind of come into the story with. But I don't know, like that piece of it really kind of I was reminded how well that worked. I was reading about it. Apparently, like there was maybe some issues with the filming of this movie, like between them or production issues and uh that I feel like don't show in the film. Like I
No,
feel
not
like
at all.
they are great in the movie and they're great together as a couple. I mean, I don't know. I was reading some articles about some reported like filming issues like between the two of them. I don't know what problems they had, but all to say that like the movie doesn't show that. And maybe it helped the movie, I don't know. But because like when they come into it, they kind of had that tension that maybe they were having while they filmed it possibly. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of push on that was that uh you know that time, Kate Beckinsale, Luke Wilson, like both kind of like maybe arguably at the heights of their careers that they both have. And at that point in their careers, they were both kind of doing a lot of pretty mainstream popular stuff. So for kind of like a little horror thriller like this that is just super super fast, super breakneck pace, like it just gets going and doesn't stop until the end. Uh, I just love these kinds of movies. Like again, it doesn't feel like some like redefining anything like masterful, But there are these films that just come about where you're like, that is just a tight 80 minutes of a good horror thriller with good performances, creepy scenes, like even like the videos that they're watching, like on the
Yeah.
TV of what has already happened there. Even like when you first meet Frank Whaley's character and like you hear the screaming in the office and it's like, oh, I'm just
Yeah.
watching a video. And it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
like little things like that. You're just like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be fun. And even having seen it before, it's like he's got that sleaze, that slime to him that like kind of just not too on the nose, but enough there that you're just like, that's a bad dude. And
Yeah.
you're just like, they're gonna have to deal with this house. They're gonna have to deal with this somehow. But yeah, like you said it also at the top, John. Like it's really well shot too. Like it looks really good. Like
Hmm.
to be in like a one location, kind of the production, like having like the tunnels and everything, like that all looked really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good production design, and it's at
Yeah,
that era where maybe they were doing that kind of grimy look for a lot of horror, but
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
fits, and it's like it is a little bit of like rock video. It is, because the
Oh
Nino
yeah,
Ratal,
he's all over that. Yeah.
but like it's in a way that it lends into it. It's almost like they and I feel like again, not to keep comparing it to The Strangers, but The Strangers had a similar thing of like the decor. It was like meant to make you feel a certain kind of reality that felt very
Right.
like this decor of stuff that was old at that time, like places you went that had like someone's house out in the country might have that decor, like in The Strangers, or an old, if you stop in a motel and you go in the office and it looks like it hasn't been updated in 30 or 40 years or whatever.
Sure.
That's part of the storytelling, and I feel like leaning into that gave this movie a real specific feel that doesn't feel like what you might say, oh, a video director would throw in a bunch of
Totally agree.
kind of like meaningless texture or texture that's just there for
Yeah.
appearances or to be gritty. It's actually part of the scene. And I would contrast it with in Vacancy 2, the first cut. It doesn't have that atmosphere, but they try to recreate some of the sort of like the wood paneling and the kind of feel of things. And
Yeah.
it's just not as well shot, and it feels very cheap and like they're out like in these rustic cabins rather than in like motel rooms, and so it's a weird thing. And I would also say about the sequel, the thing that's very strange is it does that thing that I was just saying of like it tries to get into the mechanics of how they do what they do,
Uh-huh.
and it becomes more implausible because it's like making you think about it too much. It's making you think about what it is at the beginning. The characters have different names, all different actors. Like if they could have gotten
Mm.
Frank Whaley and Ethan Embry to come back, it would have gone a long way towards making it pretty watchable. But none of the people are
Right.
back, and so it's
Right.
kind of like, oh, is it the same characters or not? But it ends with a way that suggests maybe they start over in the location of Vacancy, and with new names.
Got
But
it.
in this story, they film people having sex and sell those on the black market. And
Mm.
then one night a guy brings a woman in and kills her, and they catch it on camera,
Mm.
and they catch the guy, and then while they're like deciding what to do with them, he makes a plan with them that we could sell, you think you could sell these, these sex videos, you could sell these snuff videos for more, and they
Right.
make a plan with the guy. So it's basically the same setup, three guys, but none of them are the same or really look the same, but you can kind of feel they're grafting the archetypes of the characters from the first movie onto these guys. So anyway, it really was not anywhere near as good as the first one, but it is written by Mark L. Smith, who wrote the first one. So I wonder if this was like if this was ever going to be a movie that was more of a direct sequel in the sense of having any of the actors come back, because it feels like maybe with better production value and with better acting, it wouldn't have been so slapdash, but it really felt like the ultimate like direct to DVD kind of movie.
I don't think I've never seen the sequel. Never sought it out.
Yeah, I didn't. I kind of watched it like, well, I got to know. I did my research.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to complete it. I got you. Cool. All right. Well, who's next, Ronald?
That's Vacancy. Yeah, Ronald, where are you taking us? What roadside attraction are you going to have us pull over and watch in the middle of the night?
Um, I'm taking you to the 60s because I like to see source material for remakes.
Mm.
Um, Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. It's the highest to lowest is the
Okay.
the movie that Spike Lee made. But I really want to watch High and Low. I've never seen it, and I think what I'm trying to do is essentially try to watch all of his movies because people take so much from this man. It's like if you see people's inspirations, it's a lot of
Yeah.
Kurosawa movies. And this apparently is like really ahead of its time in terms of commentary on class and stuff like that. And apparently, the dynamic with class that is very heavy in this movie is absent in the newer version. So I wanna
Oh.
check this out and
So
see.
we need to track at some point which directors have gotten two or more times in the required viewing slot because we watched The Hidden Fortress for
Yes.
required viewing a while back. So I wonder now that makes me wonder how many times have we gone back to a director? I think Francis Ford Coppola because we did The Godfather and we did The Conversation. But I'd be interested to know. We'll
Gotcha.
have to
You
know.
can
But yeah, this is from 1963. I'm kind of like you, Ronald. I did not was not familiar with this source material when people started talking about
oh
Highest to Lowest
man.
as a remake, and I felt sort of ignorant because they were mentioning it in that way of like not explaining what they meant.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
like, oh, I should know. Apparently, High and Low is a movie I should just know.
yeah.
So no, great pick.
It is playing on it looks like HBO Max if you have that. That's about all I see it on. But HBO Max, good service. Probably amazing quality because it's gone into the Criterion pretty recently. They're releasing it on 4K in the next couple weeks. So there should be fresher copies in the atmosphere. But yeah, HBO Max.
Cool.
Before we move on completely, though, I did want to just throw back to that motel movies idea. Like, I wanted to throw
Oh,
the ones that I came up with off
mm,
were I mentioned No Country for Old Men, which has motel
mhm.
stuff in it. Obviously, Bad Times at the El Royale. That was a big motel movie.
Ooh, yes.
You can't ignore Psycho. I mean,
Echo.
Psycho might be the
Yeah.
ultimate original motel
Yeah. Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
The Florida Project.
Yep.
Florida Project. That's a good one.
And I guess I think of From Dusk Till Dawn as having a lot of motel stuff in it. Maybe it just has a chunk of the movie that takes place in and around a motel, but that's one that occurred to me. I didn't know if you think I'm missing any there, but it seems that that's a fun little subgenre. You know, it would almost be
What's
like
well, you mentioned Identity. Uh
yeah, Identity.
what's the one oh, what's that one Ashley Judd with was it Michael Shannon?
Mm.
Bug.
Yeah.
Bug. That happens in a motel room. Uh that's really
Yeah.
good.
No, you're right. And that
Uh
almost seems like there might be another movie where people kind of hole up in a motel like that too, where they like are shut in or
yeah.
they're a siege kind of film or something.
Detroit. That's in a
Oh,
hotel. That's in a motel room. That's
Oh
the
yeah.
yeah the
Man, the movie was hard to
oh,
watch.
what
Catherine
was
Bigelow
what
movie.
was the movie with
Hmm.
did Regina King direct it? Was that in a motel? I think that was a motel movie, wasn't it? Am I
The
crazy
one
there?
Oh,
recently.
the
A night,
one.
a night in Havana. That's not the
Yeah,
name of it.
with the three guys. They'll play.
Yeah,
They'll play
yeah.
Malcolm X, Ali, and what was the third person? A singer, Sam Cooke. I think it was Sam Cooke.
One Night
Got
in
that
Miami.
movie. Yeah, I like that, man. That was a good
That was a
movie.
motel, right? I mean,
It
that's where
was,
they
yeah. The
yeah.
whole thing was in a motel.
Yeah. So I thought I was way off with A Night in Havana, but One Night in Miami, I wasn't that far off.
Not too far. Not too far.
uh, yeah, cool, man. There's a lot more than I thought. Has to be more too, but that's pretty damn cool.
Well, let's see. One of the other topics we were going to talk about in tonight's episode,
We were gonna
we
weapons.
also
We
have
were talking
weapons. Yeah,
weapons. Yeah, we should probably bring up weapons a little bit because that's kind of like one of the movies of the late summer for sure.
yeah. It's one we would have covered for sure
Yeah.
if we were not on accidental hiatus.
One of the few movies that I made sure I went and saw I don't normally go like that, those Thursday night showings.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I was like, I gotta go. Lauren and I went, and I was not disappointed to the point that I've seen it again since then.
I want to see it again.
Which I have. I hardly ever do that anymore. I can't get to the movies enough
mm,
to begin with. But Aaron didn't get to go, so I was like, you got to come see this. So we all went and saw it again. And yeah, I love this movie. I mean, I even on the second time, it's even stronger. It's just more solidified. It's one of my favorite movies of the year for sure.
No, I definitely agree. Like I was ready for it to be something special, and it was
Yeah,
because of what Zach Kreger did with Barbarian, pretty much. I mean, obviously that's why you'd be excited, but I just
for
mean
sure.
the way that movie felt like the kind of movie I would watch if it wasn't a horror movie. You know, like it has interesting structural things. It's shot well. He's a visual director, but he's also pretty darn good with characters and dialogue and
Yeah,
creating these
yeah.
like memorable kind of real feeling moments. And I think his background in sketch is similar to the way Jordan Peele has a real facility with just moving in and out of complicated ideas and surprising you with something and kind of like knowing how to lay down the groundwork to set up a moment or a gag or a scare or whatever it is. There's instincts there that I think are just really cool and really cinematic. And that's what I was hoping for in this, you know? And it's like, it kind of upped the ante on what I expected from Barbarian, but it also just, I loved the mystery of it and how it kept me guessing.
yeah, no.
And when it jumped to one character from another character's story, I was just right there with it. Like it was just one of those times where, like, right at the moment where I'm going, oh, you know, this is great, but I'd kind of like to see something else, or I'd like to see a little bit more what's going on. It just knew, okay, now it's time to jump to another character, and that chapter structure just really pays off as the movie goes on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just really kind of ingeniously put together, and I think the fact that, I mean, you know, we were just talking about how well made Vacancy was for what it was. This is also like for what it is, a really well made movie. And I loved what I heard. Maybe we shared it on our chat, but where Zach Kreger was saying that Prisoners was like a visual
Yeah.
template for this movie.
Oh wow.
And I can really see that. Like he was saying, he liked how gray and foreboding, the kind of mundane, almost boring suburban existence could be made to look. And I can totally see how that would have influenced the look of Weapons, because there's that kind of yeah, it's like it wasn't like a drab looking movie at all, but it definitely felt sort of gloomy in a way. And I think it's really cool when someone can take a scenario that you might think of as benign, like a boring little suburb, and make it seem like what's lurking behind every door, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
I also think it's a movie where, kind of similar to what I was saying about Vacancy, it's like it moves so cleverly that the few things that are sort of like that you might pick at about it, or that you might think, well, why is Josh Brolin the only guy who's like, what direction did the kids walk in? Maybe we can figure out what's over there. Like it seems like
Yeah.
people would already be doing that, but the movie gives you a really simple, really easy to understand thing of what he's figuring out. And when he takes out the map, he's not like realizing it forms a pentagram. He's just going like, what direction did they go and what house is there? You know, like it's
Yeah.
very simple, but it's also very visual. And I feel like I gave him a lot of leeway for that, to say, okay, this is almost like a Stephen King kind of thing where maybe this whole town is a little corrupt by this occurrence, and maybe people aren't checking the things they should be checking. And you know, again, it's that conspiracy thing that I was just talking about before too. So
Yeah.
and yeah, and I'll just say that it's another interesting thing when you find out how differently cast this movie was at one point.
Crazy.
It just fell apart
Yeah.
because of the strike, and then when they put it back together, it was a whole new cast, not because of any bad blood, but just because they had it ready to go. And then, you know, suddenly he had Pedro Pascal in this movie. He had to go run around with Baby Yoda and Invisible Woman. So, you
Mhm.
know, he had other things to do. But I could see Pedro Pascal being really good in this, but it's hard to
Yeah.
picture anybody being better to me than what Josh Brolin does.
Oh, he's
with
so
that part.
good in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the mark of like a really great movie is that like you see these I mean, you look at the what could have been cast, I think with the exception of Austin Abrams, like everybody was replaced. So he's the only one that kind of followed through with it. Uh but like yeah, you someone as popular and as hot right now as Pedro or even Brian Tyree Henry as the principal like would have been great. Like you
Yeah.
can't like that would have been super fun to see him in this kind of movie.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
great actor. Like we all love him. But like when a movie hits and it's successful and it really kind of fires on all cylinders, and these are characters that we kind of, and the way the story breaks apart, we follow each of these characters enough that it's like they're part of the story. When it's that successful, you kind of question like, I can't see it anybody but this now.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a mark of like, if there was doubt in my mind, I'm like, oh wow, like yeah, Tom Burke would have been kind of cool as the cop guy, you know, because he was great in Furiosa. You know, it's like, yeah, I would love to have seen that. But Alden Ehrenreich was like,
Alden Ehrenreich is incredible.
Why would I want anything beyond that? Yeah, like
he plays like I saw it with Henry, and he loved it, and he really loved the way that you could feel the movie going, okay, you're kind of predisposed to kind of like this cop. He kind of reminds you of John C. Reilly in Magnolia, which apparently was intentional. But like he kind of seems like a dopey, well-meaning cop who might turn out to be a good guy. And then every moment with him, you realize his shit is falling apart. And it's like, I don't know. I love seeing the way he played that. Honestly, I mean, I think Alden Ehrenreich. I mean, I know people like he was. I think he's the best thing about Hail Caesar. I think people really sleep on not just how good of a movie Solo is, but how actually great he was at like figuring out how do you play young Harrison Ford without trying to do a Harrison Ford thing. I thought he was really good in Oppenheimer. I really enjoyed the heck out of him on Ironheart. He was really fun on that. I mean, I don't know. He's just one of those actors that I feel like when he popped up in the when I saw it in the trailer, I think that's Alden Ehrenreich, but I had not seen his name come up, you know, associated with the movie. And I sort of deliberately stayed away from any spoilers. I loved seeing that. It was a great surprise to see, even with Julia Garner, knowing she was kind of the lead. Her character has some surprises built in that are fun to see. So yeah, and it's like as far as like playing the principal, it would have been great to see that original casting, but Benedict Wong is so great in this. And one of the most like creepy moments in the whole movie is just his eyes when his face is all covered in blood and goo and he's running. I mean, he's just not an actor you associate with a moment like that, you know? And so I think that's something, again, I think it's those instincts that Zach Cregger has, and back to the Jordan Peele thing of like, he can get this great sort of like real actors, a real cast of really great actors, and he can get them to do some wacky stuff. Did your audience have a notable reaction when Justin Long popped up in the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Someone screamed.
My crowd did too. They all went, "Oh, it's him!" I just think that it's so funny that he's like carved out an identity for himself as being the guy who pops up in a movie like this, and you don't expect him to make it out of the movie. He didn't have much to do in this, but still, it was great that he didn't die horribly.
Somebody was like, "Is this one world?" Like, I'm like, I don't.
You know, there's a whole rabbit hole that it might be like that. The main character from Barbarian is possibly the teacher of the class prior to Julia Garner taking over the class.
Holy shit!
I'll send you. There's a bit of a rabbit hole for that story because there's a call that she gets at one point in Barbarian, and it's like it's meant to be. I think it is probably like her boyfriend or ex-boyfriend.
Right.
But there's a question that it's the principal calling her to come back for her job because Julia Garner's been put on leave and things like some fun things that probably aren't true, but it's kind of like
that's pretty interesting.
That's not too bad.
Just looking at the cast. Oh, God, this is a real quick thing, Ronald. I also want to call out Toby Huss as the police chief.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
He was so good and subtle in this. Good. Honestly, he's always great, but this is the first time I've seen him. I think dial it down and play such a normal person. But it was great. I don't know. I want to see him in more dramatic roles. That's all. Anyway, Ronald, what were you saying?
I didn't talk about it, but Barbarian's one of my favorite movies ever, regardless of genre. And Weapons has become one of those as well. I think we're in this era where we're getting these like, describe it, they're kind of like sophisticated horror movies. The ones that are a little more complicated than just slasher movies. I think that people want to see.
Are these the elevated horror?
Elevated horror.
Is that what you're saying?
No, you have to call. I think Ronald's trying to come up with a different word. He's calling it sophisticated. I like that better.
Sophisticated horror. Okay.
Yeah, man. Because like
it's fancy.
In fact, I think it was a harder sell before if I had like a chunk. I mean, even when you guys got me to watch more horror films, even when we started, um, It Follows was like a one that I could give to people that felt like you
Sure.
want to see something that's a little different. Here's one.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
there's 80 It Follows in terms of just like people throwing things at the wall, trying different techniques and
Sure.
you know, but let me also say this before I get into what I'm about to say. There have always been horror films that existed like this.
Right,
It's
right.
just that there are many more that are being pushed to the forefront. And I think that I love the fact. So I have a friend, uh, Sean. I go see a lot of movies with him, and one thing I love is when a movie can shut him the fuck up. When because he typically comes into a movie after he watches like I can try to tell what's happening after the first act. I can tell what was going to happen. Barbarian and Weapons are two movies that this jackass could not guess anything about the movie. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that these movies aren't telegraphing what's happening. That you
Sure.
don't even have to like I don't think that a movie has to tell you everything that adds up to for the third act to happen. I think
Mm-mm.
it could be crazy. I think it could be left field. I'm okay with that. And I
Yeah.
think that he kind of has taught us, Zach Kreger has kind of taught us that the third act can be nuts. It doesn't have to be like, oh, you should have known that when you saw that. I love that. I love that. I
Hmm.
mean, sure, there's some breadcrumbs here and there, but I'm okay with the third act being nuts. With the second act, and there's something about the way that he specifically does it that just I screamed when I watched Barbarian. I felt a very similar way that when I saw Weapons. And Weapons, he's doing that thing where like it's like the snap. It's like the snap in the MCU. Like no one will ever look at a snap the same. No one will ever look at a kid with their arms up like this,
Right,
which used to
right.
be the
Boom.
Naruto run,
Yeah.
Yeah.
kind of. It's a little more tilted. But any kid with their arms up, it's different now. It's like
Yeah,
that's the
or
weapon.
just breaking out like a twig, like little
Yeah.
like there's so many symbolic
Yes.
things, like even the bell, like
Yes.
there's all these like little symbol like this iconography that are I'm a big like poster person, so I've been
Hmm.
watching like a bunch of custom posters on Twitter. Like I follow a lot
Oh,
of
I
artists
love
that like
those.
post them, and like
Yeah.
there's so many things that they've worked into like the custom art for this film, whether it's the run or the time or the stick, the plant, the bell. Like there's all these like the
Two,
bowl
the
of
the two
water.
people sitting on a couch.
Yes,
I've
yes. Like
seen
any,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just so many cool
Yeah.
visuals to your point, Ronald, that like are associated with this film now, and it's kind of
Well, I mean,
transferred over.
like Get Out had that with
Oh,
the teacup.
the teacup with the spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like and on and on. It just keeps
it's
going with
just
all these movies that they
Yeah.
it's
find they latch onto something, and
it's
that
great.
makes them like it's that mundane thing that now makes you think. And it's not like no one can ever touch it again, and it's not like no one's ever done that before.
Sure.
But it's like for a moment you can coalesce an idea. An image that Henry really loved was just the open door. It's nighttime and the door to the house opens slowly, and all you see inside is blackness for a while.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like you open the door and somebody rushes out. It was like you open the door and for a second you're like, wait, what's going on there? And then someone kind of comes out. But it's like just
Yeah.
that image of like you're in a suburban neighborhood at night, and it's suddenly in one of the houses the door just opens. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
if you're there to see that, then you're like, oh shit.
Creepy
Um,
stuff, man.
but the scene where she falls asleep in the car and we see the
Oh
the,
my
the
God.
woman come and get the hair. I mean, yeah,
Yes. And
That
you
that
think she's
uh,
that
just gonna kill her at
yeah,
that
that
just
part.
that just plays so well with an audience, man. Like
yeah.
both times we saw it, and honestly, it was great because like we went the Sunday after it came out and the night it came out, and both theaters were basically sold out, which was
That's
amazing.
great. That's great.
Like it was amazing, dude. Like a horror movie sold out, a crowd that was like not a bunch of assholes talking on their phone. Like they were engaged with this entertaining horror thriller, and that scene especially like the whole theater just squirming in their seats, like moving, like
Wow.
little comments like "oh shit," like you could hear some people
Yeah,
saying little,
right.
not disrespectfully, but just naturally responding, and
No,
they're
that's
just like,
respectful in a horror movie, in my opinion.
yes,
If you if you
yes,
if you get
yes.
a little bit of an oh shit from the
And you
crowd,
have
that's
those moments where it's like, it escalates and then it subsides. And then you see the arm come in the passenger seat with the scissors
mhm.
and you're like, it escalates and then it just
Yeah,
subsides. It's just like
yeah.
it's so metered, and like that scene is just so good with an audience. It
Hmm.
just keeps you on that edge, man. It's like that's like a drug, man. It's like
Yeah.
seeing a movie in a crowd like that when those kinds of things work as well, whether it's a comedy or a horror or even big moments in superhero films that we've all experienced, some together, it's just like that's the movie going, man. Like that's the cinema experience. You can get as fancy as you
Yeah.
want. That's just like the magic of the movies. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
this is one of the, twice in less than 2 weeks, like seeing it with two sold out crowds. It was like it's so hard to replicate that with the amount of people. Like when a movie catches on, like Weapons
Yeah.
has, and is a breakout monster horror hit. It's like to be able to do that with a theater. It's just it's part of the benefit of like experiencing a movie like that. It's just like it makes the
Yeah.
movie so much better. Not that I wouldn't love to watch this movie in my basement in the dark with my surround sound, because I can't wait to be able to own this film. But like it's something different, man. That communal thing, and like being
Yeah.
able to do that with this movie was was really awesome. It was great. And
Yeah.
there's more than like John mentioned the scene with Benedict Wong running up to the gas station. Like there's
Oh my
so many
God.
scenes in this film that are like that, that there's probably half a dozen of them that
Yeah.
you could pick. Some funny, like there's some great joke
No,
lines and like
the
just
moment in the
deliveries.
house when Josh Brolin has to keep throwing the kid
Yeah, yeah,
off of
yeah,
him and
yeah.
throwing him across the
Yeah.
Or,
room.
or when he wakes up from the
What the
nightmare,
fuck?
what the fuck? Like that line delivery is so good. Awesome Abrams just like across the whole film is great. Like he
Yeah.
just it's
Oh, crazy.
such a like you just kind of feel for this fuck up, and he just keeps screwing up, and it's just like, ah, damn.
Yeah, all of his scenes with Alden Ehrenreich are great too. There's
So
just the
good.
tension and the
So good.
comedy is there, and I think everybody seems to get it. I think that's the key with a production like this, and maybe that's what Zach Kreger has earned at this point. Is
Yeah.
that
Dude,
people come
yeah.
on board and they're like, okay, I get, like it's like coming into a Coen Brothers movie or any movie that where the director has an identity where it's
Totally.
just like, okay, this is we're gonna play. We kind of know we're gonna trust this material and we're gonna play it. Kind of. I'd love to see his scripts. I don't know. I'm sure there's probably one out there for Barbarian, but I would like
There
to
is.
read.
There is.
I would like to read the
Yeah.
script for Weapons and just see how it handles, because I bet all that structure is right there, on the page. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, yes, I'm
It's
glad we
great.
all liked it. I kind of
Yeah,
knew we would
man.
though, because it's kind of I don't know. Like when I saw it, I was like, this isn't just the kind of good where I'm like, I think this is good and I can fight for it. This is like, no, this feels like a movie that people are gonna.
Yeah.
This is a convincer, and
Yeah.
not to say that everyone has to like it. It's just that I think, especially for people who, kind of what you were getting at, Ronald, people who like horror are going to see this as like a special kind of horror film, and people
Yeah.
that may not always like horror are going to see this as a special kind of horror film. It's not like Sinners, but in that way it's like Sinners. It's like
Yeah.
it's got
Yeah.
it's got something that pushes it beyond the
Totally.
genre
Sure.
setting. And I did hear someone say they thought Sinners was a better movie, but that Weapons was a better horror movie. And I had to really think
Mm.
about that. And I was like, okay,
Oh,
I kind of agree with that. Even though I love Weapons just as a movie, I
me
would
too.
agree that a lot of the strengths of Sinners are not necessarily that it's like scary, whereas Weapons actually
Right. Okay.
hits that scary thing. But however, I think people overemphasize how scary something has to be considered a horror movie. Do you ever notice that? People will
Yeah.
say, oh, that movie's not a horror movie. It didn't scare me once. And it's like, that doesn't mean it's not a horror movie. You could have a horror movie that doesn't
Yeah.
work on you at all, but it's still, if it's a slasher film or whatever, it's still technically a horror film. And I think Sinners is, in some ways, a little bit less of a horror film because it does have that, like, half or 2/3 of the movie that everybody finds so captivating that doesn't have anything to do with the horror
Yeah. With
element.
anything.
Yeah.
One thing I will say that they have in common: two new classics, man.
Yeah.
These are movies I'm gonna be watching
Yeah.
for the rest of my
Great.
life. Like
Yeah.
they're gonna be in my collection. I'm gonna have physical copies of both of these things, man. Well, I do have physical copy of Sinners. Gonna pre-order Weapons pretty soon. I'm really excited about it.
So did you guys hear the fact that in this film we have Wong, we have Thanos, we have Silver Surfer, and we have Alden Ehrenreich's character, the son of Obadiah Stane, which
right.
That's a spoiler, by the way, folks. He's the son of the villain from Iron Man. So yeah, that's 4 Marvel characters in one movie. I wonder if Zach Kreger at any point, like planned it, like did he is this part of the multiverse? I don't know. He said there's a prequel idea. I will say that the one thing we haven't mentioned or spoiled in this conversation, which I think I'm proud of us for doing, is like the villain of this story. Yeah. We won't say anything about it, but I will say that like the marketing and the way this movie's being talked about, they didn't give it long before they started blowing that part of the movie up. So I feel like there's an element of the movie that was largely hidden from the marketing before I saw it that now is just all over the press for it. So there's a certain actor we haven't mentioned that is crucial. But that was a great reveal to me because that just the image of that character was scary the first few times you see it,
So good.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we're going to close it out with Peacemaker. I've seen the first 5. The world out there will have seen the first 2 at this point. Ronald, have you seen both? You've seen the first 2 Peacemakers?
I've seen the first 5 because of you.
First 5? No, because of me. It's Steve.
Why is this?
I think I've seen the first
5. Yeah. It's like, why are you talking about the first 5? And I started watching. I was like, oh.
Well, but we're really not gonna spoil too much, I don't think, anyway. But we're only gonna talk about what has occurred up through the first couple of episodes. But I will just say this: when my family, my wife and my son and I sat down to which yes,
my wife.
There's my wife. I'm bragging about being married throughout this podcast.
Yeah, slow down, John.
I know that it's a shocking thing to watch a show like this beside your son because there's some stuff in this show that is interesting to watch. But he can handle it. He's 17. Going on 18. So there is like Nikki's more uncomfortable than I am, but I kind of turn away. I kind of I block my peripheral vision so I don't have to watch them when there's an orgy scene. But with that being said, I wanted to just mention that my family started a new tradition that sadly we cannot repeat until the 6th episode comes out in several weeks, which is that we happen to have cheesecake that day, and so we ate cheesecake while we watched it, and I called the occasion Cheesecake or Peacemaker. So next time we watch Peacemaker, I'm going to suggest that we try to get that going across the country.
I like that.
Well, you could just invite everybody to your house, John,
or Peacemaker Cheesecaker. I don't know whichever one rings off the tongue. Nothing rings on your tongue. Whichever one trips off the tongue the best. But cheesecake goes great with Peacemaker.
And maybe you pregame with a little cheese steaks.
Oh, we have cheese steaks, cheese staker, Peacemaker, cheesecaker.
Dude, I'm there. Okay.
That sounds incredible.
I like it. It also sounds like a trip to the bathroom.
Yes. Yeah. Or an ER or an urgent care.
But it's eating a bunch of cheesesteaks and then a bunch of cheesecake sounds like something the characters on this show would do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what they do for parties, right?
I think that's probably Vigilante's diet. But I mean, obviously, we're giggling. The show makes me a little giggly and giddy. I think that the first season was extremely special and really well done. Like James Gunn knows how to make a television show.
Yeah.
He said that during lockdown, he kind of watched a lot of television and kind of studied it and came away with a real appreciation for the structure of it. And a lot of people that do these kind of prestige, either superhero or Star Wars or whatever shows, they don't give you a feeling that they know episode to episode what to do with the story. But I mean, I don't want to just be always a guy who's like on board for James Gunn, but I mean, I think the guy is really good, and I think the writing on the show is great, and I also think the characters. I love the characters on the show, and I realized that going into the second season after a couple episodes that I was just like, there's not a scene that I'm like, this character, okay. I like the way they bounce off of each other. I feel like the cast seems to have fun around each other. Maybe one day we'll hear horror stories, but it just seems like a show that has a really cool energy, and I think the second season. It just does some smart second season things. I mean, it sets us up with a new storyline that's really incredibly engrossing and very dramatic for Chris Smith, for John Cena's character. And he continues to be like the perfect foil for James Gunn's material in a way. It reminds me of the way Sam Raimi uses Bruce Campbell. It's like, oh, I found this macho piece of shit who doesn't mind being the butt of the joke. And then I think John Cena adds to that, like, oh, and he's incredibly emotionally vulnerable when the scene calls for it or when the story calls for it. Like, that stuff in the first episode where he sees what's happening in the other dimension and he kind of sees what could have been. That's like emotional. God. That shit is actually emotional. And I feel like, again, we know James Gunn made us cry with Rocket Raccoon. So we know that he's not messing around with the emotional stuff. So yeah, I'm loving this show, and I'm thinking the second season feels right on par. The only thing I guess that's up for debate is the opening sequence with the dance. I know a lot of people after the first episode were saying it sucks compared to the first one or whatever. But I feel like it evolves, and I feel like as you watch more episodes, just like the first time around, the storytelling of the dance sequence, it actually kind of becomes more interesting the more you see what's actually going on. And so by the time I was watching it the third or fourth time, I was liking the song more, and I was noticing all the little, oh, that person's there, and oh yeah, he's there too. And I get how now this is not just random. And also, I think it seems like the cast is having fun all being on set at the same time, which you probably don't get a chance to do. Sure. So yeah, those are all my warm feelings towards the cheesecake of television shows, Peacemaker. Ronald, how do you feel about what you've watched?
I love the first season, and I wondered, with the events of, I mean, this is a big thing that we have to talk about. The elephant in the room is the DCEU kind of changing forms into
the DCU now.
And characters affecting storylines in the second season and characters showing up in DCU movies. I think this just represents this interconnectedness that I didn't know that I needed, but I'm glad that I have it. And it just feels very natural. It doesn't feel like they retconned something in a cool way.
Yeah, and I thought that was really cool.
It showed it to you as if it wasn't that.
Yeah, doing it with the previously on was really, I thought, brilliant. I really
go. Yeah. I thought
so elegant and just like boom. We get what we're seeing now. Yeah. Everything that happened in the first season happened, but anything that had to be different, we can assume was different. You know, and now we're on. And I feel like people got hung up on that though, Ron. I don't know if you saw. People were like, "Oh yeah, this is erasure." I saw someone that said this is cultural erasure. That accused Gunn of colonialism.
All right.
Wow.
We'll have two versions of the fucking season. Like, have the version because I wonder if they did. It'd be really interesting is if you watch the season finale of the first season, if they've changed that too. That'd be really interesting. But
yeah, it would.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think the pacing of it's approaching something that we've seen in a Marvel movie, the Spider-Man. I made a mistake. I want to change things. But the weight of this one is different. It represents something very different. He is responsible for something way more serious in this version of the story. And it changes the context of his feelings about it. And
you're talking about what happens at the end of the first episode?
Yeah.
That's so, but also it's kind of hilarious. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's really crazy, but it's also kind of funny. I don't know. That was such a great James Gunn kind of story move of like, oh shit, he can do that. But then when it happens, you instantly go, oh man, now I can see this. I can see this story forming in front of us.
Yeah. Yeah. He makes some real interesting choices. It's like if something really traumatic happened in your life, what would you do if you had the opportunity to maybe live a different version of it? And would you leave your old life behind? I mean, that, they kind of give that away in the trailer, and it just feels like something that I think the way it's presented would compel anybody to kind of think about it, because it's done with a weight to it that only James Gunn can do. Because I feel like James is really good at creating this weight behind. I don't know if I felt as much in a superhero movie as I did in this movie. Like in anything that he's done, in the Guardians movies and Peacemaker and even Suicide Squad. They were, the fact that they hated each other, and then when they kind of reunited at a part in Suicide Squad, it's like this happiness that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn, like, it's that when you haven't seen your friends in a while, that like feeling, and he knows how to capture that, and he keeps doing it over and over again in different ways.
Yeah.
This family dynamic that you create, the new version of a family you create, the old version of a family that you have, and kind of piecing a version of that life together is a really interesting thing that is going to be a thing that we all go through that's very relatable, on top of it being superheroes. And I think that it's almost like the genre forgot about the humanity of it all. And James was like, nah, I read a bunch of comic books. This humanity already has existed. It just never showed up in the movies the way that, I think that I could make this thing work.
The way that he can do it. I mean,
Yeah, the
frankly.
way he can
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it shows. And I'm ready for whatever happens after these 2 episodes. Um, but a world is being built that I want to see being completed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, so far so good. I mean, I definitely love the first season so far. I've been really enjoying. I mean, especially just focusing on the first 2 episodes, like kind of getting this idea around, uh, this alternate portal universe, version of himself, version of his life, version of the people he knows, the family that he has had and has slash had,
Mm-hmm.
and how life would be different. Yeah, when you get to that point, you realize, okay, like that's where the season is going to go. It does open up a lot of interesting ways that it could explore relationships with characters we had never really met before. And I think that's been really great. And honestly, you kind of alluded to it a bit, John. Is like I think John Cena is like becoming a great actor. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
effective in this season so far. There's some really great scenes that he has. And I think was even reading an interview with James Gunn, or maybe it was the watch along that they did for the first episode, where he was talking like when filming it and getting into the season, getting going. It was like, wow, like Cena's really stepped up his game for this second season. So I mean, even hear him say that, um, it comes off as a viewer, you can feel it for sure. And I mean,
Mm.
I like John Cena. I think he's been in a lot of really fun roles. And it's clear that he loves this role.
Yeah.
Him as a person, like the embracing of all opportunities that he's had and appreciating that stuff and being so positive about it all is just kind of infectious too. Like watching him do the rounds of the press for this series,
Mm-hmm.
only makes it that much better for me as a viewer. Not that you need to see that to experience what I'm describing, but he really kind of brings it, man. And as you get in deeper into the episodes that haven't aired yet, I think it only compounds, especially where the story is going with the more emotional side of the stuff. Yeah, so far I love him in the show, Vigilante. He's great. I love how he's such an expert about everything. Uh fucking cracks me up, dude. I kept thinking like last season, and maybe we talked about this, but I saw some people mention it online, and it reinvigorated my like feelings around it. As much as I love and really appreciate what Ryan Reynolds did for Deadpool and for that
Mm.
property. Like that guy playing Vigilante, I was like, he could have been Deadpool.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it is like a version of Deadpool.
It's like an in-universe version of Deadpool that
Yeah.
doesn't break the fourth wall, but that like has
Yes.
the sideways, that he's like a psycho
Yes,
who you love
exactly.
him, but his what's going on behind his brain is like
It's
something different.
it's
Yeah.
like broken. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many scenes where he's just talking, and like
Oh,
how directly aggressive he is about like his friendship and why you're not calling him to tell him what's going on. Like, of
yeah.
course he would call me. Like, like I was like he's like Deadpool, but staying within the show. Yeah.
But mentioning him in particular, like, and you were kind of touching back on something else you said, Steve, about the group. Like, one of my favorite, like, this is such a James Gunn choice. In
Yeah.
that first episode, he's calling Economos, the Steve Agee character, and he's in a surveillance van. Economos is, and he's the only one who kept his job. So he's sort of like under the thumb of the, everyone else is kind of out, but he's kind of in. But like that scene could have so easily been played like, oh, Vigilante is an annoying nerd and Economos is a snarky asshole. But instead, there's a moment in the middle of that where Vigilante's like, I know everything about it or whatever. And Economos is like he's chuckling and he's like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But it's like Steve Agee plays it so warmly. I mean, it's just such a sweet moment. It's like I found myself watching it going, man, James Gunn is kind of what we were saying. But I mean, it's just James Gunn gets that idea that like if you put that little dash of humanity in there, it's like these characters are enjoying each other. These characters care about each other. And that you can overplay that and it can become kind of sappy. But I think just the notion that if you were Economos, yes, you would find Vigilante incredibly annoying, but we find out he calls him every night and has called him probably for months now every night and is like making this conversation. And Economos obviously kind of like, again, whether he enjoys it or not, he's not telling him to fuck off. He's not hanging up on him. He's not saying, don't call me. He says, I'll talk to you tomorrow. So I don't know. I feel like that's like the part of the secret sauce of what James Gunn does with these characters. And I think part of what we're saying too, I just wanted to make this observation, part of the fun of seeing Superman and loving it and then seeing this is like we right now are in like this is the James Gunn DC universe. Like even the projects that are coming out that aren't going to be written and directed by him for at least the foreseeable future are going to be things that he kind of shepherded and produced and that fit into this vision that he has. And it just feels so confident and so well done to go from Superman and into this. It's like I feel so good about what he's setting up as a universe,
Totally.
And I think that is like, I mean, he probably made the best Marvel movies in my opinion. So there's a little thing that he has yet to make a superhero film, except for Super, which I admire but don't necessarily enjoy. But he has yet to make a superhero film that doesn't kind of hit all those marks. His Suicide Squad movie is also really, really fun and really, like you said, emotional in its way. So I don't know. I just think at this point, yes, maybe this is what James Gunn does, but we can't act like it's not a good trick. I mean, the guy, he's kind of I mean, he's a visionary in his own weird way, but like the way that his movies feel so much like his movies. And I don't know if anybody else that quite writes dialogue like that, where it's like, maybe it goes back to the same well in terms of like the structure of a joke, but there's some really fun humor in there. And every now and then two characters will be bantering and you'll just feel like, oh, that's just something that was on James Gunn's mind that day, probably that he thought was kind of funny, but he manages to put it in the mouth of the character, So the cast is just full of kind of ringers when it comes to delivering his lines. So we haven't really talked about Tim Meadows much, or actually maybe in the pre-show I mentioned him. But I think Tim Meadows is a great addition to the vibe. As well.
Yeah, his bird blindness cracks me up every fucking time, man.
That one part when he's like cracking on him for it, and he says, "What, are you trying to make a joke out of my bird blindness because it's funny?" Yes, it is. It's hilarious.
I was dying. Like how serious he's about it. Like it's great. It's great.
His nicknames for everybody, man.
Oh, I know.
Oh my god.
And what was it he said about Pokemon that was just such a non sequitur when he was talking about?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, he said
something like, I bet he gets all the Pokemon or something like that. But he also said it with this way like he's testing Economos while he's saying it. Like he's looking at him like, are you going to put up with what I'm saying? I don't know. It's a funny comedy character. I hope he sticks around. I thought he was gone. There was a point in episode 2 where I really thought, oh shit, that was like the film language of when the camera swoops down on him is,
right.
But then when he pops up and he's okay, you go, all right. But I wonder if he's like going to be, because last year there were like feds or cops that were around until it was time to start like disintegrating people, or whatever. And then you realize James Gunn doesn't shy away from doing that. But I Tim Meadows, there's something about him in this ensemble that feels like there's a moment in a later episode that made me think, oh, maybe this character's got a little more to him, because there's just one little moment, maybe you've gotten to it, where he seems to be a little more empathetic than we thought.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that was it. We cheesecaked that episode.
Yes. it's so far so good with this season. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So required viewing. Is it called? It's called High and Low.
High and low.
High
Yeah,
and
high
Low
and low.
on
Yeah.
HBO Max. For
Yep.
Ronald's required viewing pick for next week. And what else are we gonna talk about next week? I guess you can talk about the Spike Lee film next week more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out next
Yeah.
week.
Maybe we should all catch up on Alien Earth and give some updated
Yeah,
thoughts on where the
do
season
that.
has gone.
Do
And we
that.
can
Do
also
that.
we can check in on Peacemaker again if we feel like it. Or
Yeah,
maybe
that
we'll wait till
sounds
later in the season. But yeah, there'll probably be something to cover.
cool. Movieschmovie.com is the website. You can go there to subscribe to the audio podcast or listen directly on the site. But yeah, you can jump into any of your platform choices. Also, youtube.com/movie podcast. Uh, there you can do video, audio, long form, short form, all the forms. But if you do go there, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notifications when new posts go up on the YouTube channel. We'll be back next week for a new episode. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, you've made our day. Thanks.